Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Scenic View podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Owens, Communications Director at Scenic, along with Sammy Klein, Artis Watkins, Executive Director, and Suzanne Beasley. Let's have a great show. We are thankful that you have joined us, the only podcast for state employees and retirees. Let's have a great show. I thought we needed a tagline, so I think that's a good one.
I think it's a good one. You know what? Nobody is going to talk about state employee and retiree issues as in-depth as this organization because that's the only reason we're here.
That's in our name.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The only reason we're here is our members and their rights. And unfortunately, we can't just count on the powers that be to just do the right thing just because. That's silly. So we know we have to get this information out there.
Well, it's cold outside.
Yes, it is.
This is probably our first real cold snap of the year, right? I think it was like 32 when I got in the car.
Yeah, my car was all frozen.
Yeah, and there's talk of possible winter weather on Friday. What do you think? You think that'll happen? Or
I don't think it'll happen here. Probably the western part of the state.
Yeah. You think we'll see the brine trucks from DOT out a little?
They're always going to be out.
Yeah.
And they're really important. I went out west last month and thankful they were out.
Kind of a surprise when you headed out that way.
Oh, yeah, you ran into some snow. Was it in Boone or?
No, this was just past Asheville.
Oh, okay.
There was some kind of mix up and some of the brine didn't go down on 40. So they had some issues off of 40. But it shows just how critical it is, the work these folks are doing.
Speaking of that, actually, before we jump into the show, last week we did talk about the DOT and Highway Patrol workers who received the award from the governor for their work in the Helene.
Right.
And this week, DOT has been putting out videos with each of those people, and it's very cool to watch.
That's awesome. So where do you go to their DOT?
It's on their Facebook, and I've been trying to share some. And I'll share some more on our page, too. But they have like in-depth interviews of what happened and everything with the workers, so definitely check that.
I mean, I think as human beings, we probably all want to help people, but I think that just goes to the point that state employees have a heart of service and immediately went into action. And with upcoming possible weather, thank you, DOT.
Yes.
And purposely mentioned the cold to bring a segue to our first topic, which is the state health plan and this report in the News and Observer this week that the freeze era is over for state health plan premiums, according to State Treasurer Brad Briner.
That's as cold as ice. No, that's a problematic headline, John.
Yeah, it is. So basically, the story says that Briner's philosophy is a shift from Bill Falwell's stance of holding premiums steady for years. And he said that basically we'll possibly raise them every time it's needed. We can argue how we should
know if it's needed. We have no transparency in what we're paying healthcare systems. And we can get really in-depth on that in a minute.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing that we don't talk about. Let's say the health plan decides we're going to only do this when state employees get a raise. And then we'll raise their premiums up and take a little bit of that raise. But only when they get a raise. You're kind of comparing them to the private sector in that case. Except you don't pay state employees the way you do the private sector.
Exactly.
They're at least 14% on average below what that job classification would be paid in the private sector. We've said it a million times. You don't come to work for the state to get rich, and you know it. But what you do know is your benefits will be pretty stable and solid. And you won't make as much money as you would elsewhere, but you usually have a more predictable life. This is a departure from that. So it's treating state employees more like the private sector if you were to do that, but not paying them like the private sector. So you can't pick and choose where you treat state employees like the private sector. That's a big thing.
Just this year, for example, since their premiums have gone up, we don't have a budget.
Right.
There's no pay raise. Premiums have gone up. So they're in the hole.
Whereas the private sector and the public sector, even in local government, raises were given this year on average that were meaningful raises. So state government is right there by itself in terms of how badly it's treating its employees right now.
And it's a unique situation. Like, it's different than just an employer who goes out and purchases a plan for their employees
Well,
and
yeah.
expects a huge increase in that premium every year. Because this
Because the
is the
insurance
state's
companies do it.
premium, I mean, it should be used as a benefit to entice people to come to state employment, right?
And a thing a lot of people don't understand too is the state health plan is self-funded,
Mhm.
so you don't actually have an insurance policy with Aetna at the moment as the third-party administrator, but the state funds its own state health plan. We just use the network that Aetna has, and Aetna processes the claims. And I think people don't understand that.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is just because Aetna probably has to raise its premium,
Yeah.
it shouldn't have any bearing on the
Exactly.
state health plan. It's an entirely separate
Exactly.
situation. So,
And a big part of this is to avoid having to ask the legislature for more funding.
So this is, again, why job number one for the state auditor in looking at where we're overpaying as a state, where public funds are not being used efficiently. I know that Auditor Bullock is very serious about that work. I know that Treasurer Briner is very serious about getting these healthcare costs down. They need to get together on this. And the law needs to be changed to allow Auditor Bullock and Treasurer Briner to come forward and tell us exactly what we're paying these providers.
Because it's not fair just to every time money is needed just to go to the employees. And
It's the only way it's ever been done.
Yeah.
And you'll hear, well, no, we've gotten some concessions from the provider. If you get a concession from somebody you're paying 400-500% more of Medicare reimbursement than it takes to make a profit, and they're like, okay, well, we'll take a little of that off or a whole lot of that off. They're still making way more money than it takes to make a profit. So, if I charge you $1,000 for a loaf of bread and I'm willing to knock it down to $90 for that loaf of bread, have I given that big a concession?
Still a big profit there.
I think that the big takeaway from this story for state employees was Thomas Friedman, the executive administrator of the state health plan, said that he would anticipate benefit changes in 2027, and along with that, premium changes. So I guess that would mean premium increases in 2027.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, because again, we still don't have transparency. We still don't know what we're paying folks, so we can't insist on adjusting it where we're wildly overpaying folks. I love what they're doing at the health plan with Lantern, that program where they can direct people to qualified surgeons who are willing to do the surgeries for enough of a profit, but not, price gouging anybody. I love that program. But that by itself is going to take time, and it won't do it by itself. We still have to have the transparency. And again, if Auditor Bullock wants to do something big and meaningful, this is it. We are 1/10 as the state health plan of the commercial health insurance in this state. We're number one most costly state in the nation for health care. If you want to do something to help every single North Carolinian, get some transparency around this health plan, which would drive those costs down because people would be outed for overcharging so badly.
And where does it end? Like, healthcare is just consuming the economy and people's lives and people's finances.
Where it's ended is in healthcare, rather. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy in this state. That's where it's ending for North Carolinians. Yeah. And honestly, you can tell I'm hopping mad right now because it's kind of extremely fresh. Atrium that just announced all these C-suite raises for their muckety mucks this year that were just outrageous, for like 40% raises. Their CEO's raise was just announced. And Atrium Healthcare's CEO is getting a 50% raise. It's a nonprofit hospital. All right. And so let's talk. Nonprofit hospital owned by a system called Advocate Health. At least 20.
It's in the name, Advocate.
Yeah, Advocate Health. And by the way, all of this is according to Ann Kempsky. Ann Kempsky, we know her well, and she's a wonderful person, but she's a nationally respected healthcare advisor. And she reported that Atrium's giving its CEO a 50% raise so that he will make $25.8 million. Jeez. Yeah.
Goodness.
$25.8 million. And again, Advocate Health owns Atrium. They're paying at least 20 other employees in their system over $1 million in salary for 2024. So that, 21 people making over $1 million. They're of Charlotte-based companies, according to Ann Kempsky. Only the Bank of America CEO was paid more than the Atrium CEO, a nonprofit hospital. Now, Atrium CEO even edged out the HCA healthcare CEO. HCA runs Mission in Asheville. And HCA is a for-profit hospital system. Big difference. They're for-profit. Atrium's
nonprofit.
And Atrium's nonprofit CEO edged out the for-profit HCA CEO by $2 million.
Make it make
He only
sense.
gets $23.8 million as a for-profit CEO, but $25.8 million to Atrium. Look, this is exactly why we're sitting where we're sitting. And they're not alone. Ann gave more information on her LinkedIn page where she is a wealth. If you want to follow anybody interesting on LinkedIn, y'all, Ann Kempsky, Kempski.
So this CEO made $25 million and he didn't hit any home runs, or he didn't catch any touchdowns.
Yeah.
How can you?
Well, yeah, they did. They did make a home run in terms of money they brought in. But this isn't because some sort of amazing. I'm not sure that this is a lot about business strategy or acumen. If you don't have to say what you're charging,
exactly,
and you've got people willing to just pay it,
and you know, an aside in this whole healthcare debate that we started to have 2 weeks ago, and then it's just been drowned out by other stuff now. But I hope that we can get back to talking about healthcare because it is killing our country. I digress there a little bit, but
yeah, it's okay, it's appropriate.
But everyone's premiums are about to go up too because of the.
Well, we got to pay for all this stuff, John.
Yeah,
but Atrium made $1.4 billion in the first 9 months of 2025. That was 18% more than the same period last year. And by the way, when these nonprofit hospitals want to come and get these bonds approved,
yeah,
where they can finance building more and more and more, they can finance that at no tax on that.
Yeah, and when people were starting to, like, very smart people that I respect, like in the Twitter sphere, or you know, they always first off blame the insurance companies, which probably do have a lot of blame to take. But no one ever mentions the reason that your insurance premiums are going up is because the cost at the hospitals is so much.
Yeah, the hospitals try to fly like under the radar. And, you know, get everybody mad at the insurance company. They both need to get it right. Now, part of Aetna, my understanding, when Aetna took over the contract as third-party administrator, I remember at those health plan board meetings, Suzanne, hearing things about how Aetna had committed to trying to bring a lot of this overpayment stuff down that Treasurer Falwell had been so concerned about. And I'm not sure where we are with all that, but it's a good time to get an update from them. But before we move any further, I wanted to make sure it's clear we're not just picking on Atrium. They just happen to be the one that's the most outrageous in terms of pay for their CEO and their top muckety mucks. But
Novant's CEO earned $8.2 million in 2024. Was that so? And then UNC Health CEO was $2.36 million. So that's about probably like a relief pitcher or a utility player, still in the major leagues. But yeah, I mean, even ECU Health CEO took home $1.7 million.
Yeah, I mean,
and you can't begrudge someone for being at the top of their profession and making money. But $25 million is a lot.
Yeah, $25 million.
At some point, it just gets gross.
Yeah.
It is gross.
Yeah.
Especially when nonprofit system.
It's just all sad.
So, yeah, Thomas did say that the premium increase will likely be smaller next year, which is probably not much of a consolation.
Well, here's my public records request right now. I don't know if you can do it this way, but I want to know what we're paying all these people on this chart you were just reading from. What are we paying these hospital systems out of the state health plan? We have to know.
Well, the State Health Plan Board of Trustees meets on Friday. My understanding is there won't be any votes on anything, but there will be the actuaries on hand for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they do allow a public comment moment. So we may glean some new information on Friday, but...
Not to throw them under the bus, but isn't their role to advocate and to manage the state health plan to the best of their ability? Yes. And why do they not...
You asked each of them what their role is, they might answer.
differently.
differently.
Each one.
Over the years, I've heard different board members express their role, and it has been not
Interesting.
the same. Yeah. A lot of them see their role very much as just, we're supposed to spend
Make
the
the
state's money as
decisions,
as wisely as possible. And that's why it was so important to us when the state health plan was reconstituted. Their board was reconstituted, and Senator Apodaca led that charge. And he was good enough to really sit and listen and say, yeah, I think you do need some regular people. People who work and use the state health plan need to be on that board. How can you make decisions about the welfare of 700,000 people if you haven't walked in their shoes?
That's it. And he always like to say that, somebody who makes $100,000 a year is going to consume health care differently than someone making, $40,000 a year.
And even if that's how they see their role, to be fiduciaries of the state's money, don't they have a responsibility to know what we're paying these hospitals and to advocate for that to be public? So
that's certainly,
I mean, that's part of being
what we're trying to advocate to them to do.
I guess I'm just asking, why do they not come out more forcefully?
Some of them do sometimes. I know Dr. Willis, when he was on there, he was a huge advocate for, and as a doctor, he had a special reason to be, because he would point out the obvious. Guess who's not cleaning up in this health system? Doctors and nurses and PAs and people who you go see who care for you.
Yeah.
Your actual provider.
Right.
When you're sitting in that room getting a checkup, that person is not the one who's cleaning up.
The person who takes apart your heart or takes apart your brain for the most complex surgeries, they're not the ones making $25 million a year.
Exactly. It's troubling.
Well, that's healthcare moment for the episode.
I can tell we are not happy.
Yeah, it's such a huge part of everyone's life. And
it is just the biggest smack in the face to talk about a 50% raise for a nonprofit CEO of healthcare. We don't know what we're paying them, and yet state employees and retirees get a big goose egg this year.
Yeah. And a premium increase.
And a premium increase. And they're told, you're probably going to have to pay even more next year. Ridiculous. Absolutely not.
Freeze era is over.
So it's like a 49% increase and like a probably
I will tell you
10% decrease for state oil. Yeah. That's probably
where it's a net loss.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's not going to happen in this era of
freeze era over.
Yeah. This frozen era. We're not going to let it go. Get it? Frozen.
Oh, let it go. Hey.
Elsa. All right, Elsa.
Speaking of Treasurer Briner, this week it was reported that the retirement gains have been up to $14 billion
in the pension system.
system. Yeah, he's kicking butt.
But the story was, also presented the other side. But what's happening to that money? Retirees are not getting COLAs or increases. Yes.
I mean, that's been the story. It's been frustrating to hear, the reason people weren't getting COLAs here lately was Dale Folwell was putting too much money in cash, so we weren't earning enough. Well, when Treasurer Cowell was there and Treasurer Moore before her, they were very much more aggressive with investments, opposite style from Folwell, and we weren't getting COLAs. So
same situation.
Retirees don't see COLAs because nobody cares about retirees. It's not because of how the fund's doing.
Yeah, the pension system is up 11% this year, according to this story from CBS 17. Treasurer Briner credits a strong market and his investment team's decisions to buy when stock prices plummeted in April after the tariff announcement. Mm-hmm. He said it is unambiguously good news that we've made $14 billion, yes, but that's not quite as direct a correlation to retirees getting a raise as people think.
Never is it?
No. And
it never is. But if we lose money, oh my goodness,
Yeah, whole different thing. But I mean, $14 billion, that's huge. And we want him to do well. We want Treasurer Briner to do well. We definitely want that to happen. But that $14 billion is not going to be used specifically for COLA increases for retirees. Part of that is because of the ECRISP, which is the Employer Contribution Rate Stabilization Policy. That's a mouthful, so we call it the ECRISP. But that caps how much the employer, the state, has to fund the state health plan. So the state health plan, it's kind of a hamstring for them because they're not going to be able to go to the legislature and ask for more funding. Well, I mean, they can, but that's why the policy was put in place. It increases a little bit every year. This is how much the state's going to put in. So that means the rest of it's going to roll down.
Well, wait a minute. So the ECRISP is definitely for people inside baseball that go to these.
It is.
But it's important. I'm glad you brought it up. For people who go to those Board of Trustees meetings, it's often talked about. And it has to be. That's the employer contribution the state puts in towards people's retirement is significant money.
It is.
And it's had to be really big money for years now because the state was derelict in its duty for many years prior to that. So instead of steady investing on the behalf of the employer, the state's done this wild swing one way and then the other, whereas the employees have consistently forever put in 6% of their paycheck to their retirement system. Now, once again, there's no transparency in this system. So when we invest, the investment manager's fees, we have no right to know them. The problem that's even bigger than it is in the health plan with this is that the employees have their direct, very own money involved in the process.
That's right.
6% out of their check every month. So it's not just a benefit. It's a benefit they're chipping into out of their paycheck.
And when you come to work for the state, that automatically happens. You don't get a choice whether that 6% is going to come out of your check or not. It comes out and it goes into the pension system, which hopefully is going to be a benefit to you when you retire. Not many people have a pension fund.
But we've been over this. If you went and bought an investment, what would you get?
Right.
If you bought one on the market, you would get the prospectus. You would get all the documents you need to know
all the
what you're paying. You would be required to get that. But you give 6% of your paycheck involuntarily, and you get no information.
Yeah.
The story has a quote from Jerry Pinkard, who is a retiree from Mecklenburg County. He retired in 2010, and he estimates that his buying power has decreased by 35% since then because of lack of COLAs.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they haven't had a true COLA since 2017, and I think that was still 2%. But I mean,
yeah. So the lack of investment in our retirees also has an impact on the local economy because 347,000 people receive monthly payments from the retirement system, according to this story, which is $750 million.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like state employees not getting a pay raise. It's going to affect local economy. They're not spending money in their community. They're certainly not spending money outside of their community.
Well, which is the reason giving a COLA to retirees is financially good fiscal policy for the state, because that dollar's going to turn around and come back.
That's right.
Because they're going to spend it. You know, we've talked a million times, state retirees are not people squirreling away money in the Caymans, which, by the way, there's a lot of hospital money in the Caymans on their 90s, but that's a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not squirreling away money in the Caymans. They're spending it here. They spend the money they get. They really don't get to save it, unfortunately. Yeah. And when they spend that money, every time it touches a vendor or merchant in the state, you have more taxes on every one of those transactions. So it comes back. That money comes back.
Well, other news this week, the election filing period has started for 2026, right?
So
doesn't it seem like that's kind of early? And it only lasts through December 19th, right? So that's
the filing period.
17 days. It just seems like it's very short and it's very early to
time of year.
No, because they've got to get to campaigning and they'll have those primaries in the spring.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
Chris Cooper on Twitter put together a really, really good thread. But 883 people filed statewide on the first day on December 1st. There's one primary so far in the North Carolina Senate, and that's between Senator Berger and Sam Page, who is the sheriff in Rockingham County. So that'll be an interesting one.
That's the only primary
so far.
Okay.
In the Senate. There are 5 primaries in the General Assembly. One of them that will be interesting to watch is the rematch of Representative Rodney Pierce and former Representative Michael Ray. He only lost by 34 votes in the last election, so he's coming back to try again. So Representative Ray was a good friend to SEANC, and Representative Pierce has been outspoken for state employees, so this should be an interesting race to watch.
Yeah.
So, we're fixing to get wound up good here.
I think the main event is obviously the Senate race, the U.S. Senate race.
Yeah, and if you're a SEANC member, check in with your area impact chair. You can find that information on the SEANC website, www.seanc.org, if you'd like to get involved with impact and the interview process.
Or if you want to run, let us know.
Or if you want to run.
Yeah, we need some members
exciting.
to run.
Super exciting.
Yeah. When's the last time we had a member?
A member run?
Well, I mean, Linda Coleman ran for
Well, we've
lieutenant
had
governor.
members since then run.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a member running in a primary in Wake County last election.
Okay. Yeah. So we need more of you to step up and run for, maybe we can get Wendell Powell to run for president.
I think it'd be good to have Junior Hewlin, our impact chair, come on the podcast soon and talk about impact. That's SEANC's political action committee. Generally, I think impact is one of the more fascinating things we have.
Yeah.
Number one, because people see the impact endorsements in a given year and think somebody that was clearly just throwing darts at a dartboard did this, because it's pretty evenly, it's nonpartisan, so it's all over the map.
Yeah.
And most groups have a track record you can kind of follow. They trend a certain way. But impact endorsements really are all over the map because our folks in their local areas have oftentimes some really tight relationships with their representatives or senators.
And you made a good point at our board meeting a couple weeks back. I thought it was an interesting way of looking at our PAC, because money is not, it's not that we don't have money, but money is not our strong point as a PAC.
Not since Citizens United was decided by the Supreme Court, years ago, nobody's going to have money in the way that you need to have money unless you're, some mega corporation or something like that. The kind of money it takes to play now.
You got to have Elon money to play now.
Yeah, a ton of money.
But our strong point is we have boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. People in every one of those communities, we've got them. Are they people who are plugged in and care? Got that too.
Yeah.
So, I think it'd be good for Junior to come in and talk about.
Me too, because he's got some new ideas and initiatives that he's going to put in place after the holiday. So it'd be cool to hear about that.
And like we said, the state employee and retiree vote matters. About 90% of our, 95% of our members are registered to vote.
And then you got to assume when you see that kind of voter registration, you got to assume the households probably registered and aware. Those are households that are aware, that talk to people at church, that talk to people at the Walmart, that care.
And look, state employees and retirees vote.
Yeah.
They vote. So
I guess that's all the topics we have. Let's go on to our Gen Z moment of the week. What's going on in Gen Z world?
Well, the biggest thing going on in Gen Z world is Spotify Wrapped came out today. That's almost every Gen Z's favorite thing, is to look at their Spotify Wrapped and see who their top artists were. I think no one's surprised by the fact that this year mine was Big Time Rush. I was in their top 0.09% of listeners.
If you are listening, Big Time Rush, she's obsessed.
I literally have never heard of this band before.
I know.
Like, what is this?
It was
Did they have a hit? Like, did they?
They were originally a Nickelodeon show in 2009, and that's how the band formed. They formed by forming on the TV show.
I remember that now.
Yeah,
vaguely.
That show ran for 4 seasons, and then afterwards, of course, they split up and were like, "Yeah, we did a TV show together, okay." And then about 2019, they decided, "Hey, let's start making music together again."
What's it, like a boy band or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like one of the original boy bands with the Jonas Brothers and stuff. So
that's
what
not
do you
original.
Mean? No.
No.
One of the original Gen Z boy bands
Boy
that
bands
we grew up with.
Yeah. I guess you could
say your parents were teenagers when we had the first. Actually, not
Mama
even that.
Even the Beatles
grandparents
were.
Or 50s. There were more bands in the 50s.
My
or the
mama
Motown
button
group.
is activated here because when Garrett was Sammy's age, I would listen to his music because I want to know what he was listening to.
Yeah.
So now every time Sammy says, a random group to me, I have to go look it up and listen.
This is my favorite part of Gen Z moment, when we all, all the old people start attacking the Gen Z. That's not when boy bands started. See?
But yeah, I was in their top 0.09% of listeners.
We've already discussed that you
And so
might
that
be a
was good.
groupie.
Right? Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going.
So what about
definitely.
Taylor? How could you not be?
She's number 2. She's number 2 on my top. I went to a Big Time Rush concert this year. I'm going to another one next year. So whenever I go to a concert of someone, I kind of fall into a pit of let me just re-listen to their music over and over and over again.
Well,
That was a lot of listening over and over and over again.
Yeah, 13,000 minutes this year.
oh my gosh. I don't know if I'd said that out loud. Although I have noticed.
I probably read that many minutes of healthcare news.
You probably did.
Oh, yeah, that's actually.
And that's pretty loser compared to.
Yeah, I've definitely watched
And I mean,
that many fantasy football.
There you go.
podcasts.
Yeah, we've all, yeah.
I also spend a lot of time in the car, so that's what I do when I'm in
Yeah.
the car. And
True.
whenever it comes to like podcasts and stuff, I listen to very morbid podcasts. My favorite podcast is the podcast. It's called Morbid.
Oh, yeah, I like
And-
that one.
Yeah, that I listened to 11,000 minutes this year and was in their top 21% of listeners.
Mm. No thanks. I have to drive at night a lot. I wouldn't want to pull over for gas.
No. Well, you know I would.
That was a big thing for me listening on the way to the office. In the mornings, I'm not a morning person. I don't want loud music blasting in my ears, so I would listen to that podcast every morning driving to the
a
office.
heck of a way to start your day, Sammy.
Yeah.
Scary, yeah.
Yeah.
You spent 9 full days listening to this band, according to my math,
Sheesh.
which is not.
I mean, according to Spotify's math too, it was on there. It said that I listened to them for 9 straight days, and I was like, cool,
Sheesh.
I'll take it.
So I use Apple Music instead of Spotify. Well, I have Spotify too. Don't ask
Have
me why.
Spotify. I don't use it.
But yeah,
You
they
better-
don't do
you
that.
better
I don't
tag
think.
them this
But
week on
see-
this podcast.
Yeah,
Another
we need
thing.
to tag them. Yeah.
How many of you guys listening to this podcast were Scenic in your top Spotify podcast? Because they'll also tell you your top Spotify
I don't have
podcast.
and I do listen to it on Spotify.
I
Yeah,
listen
they'll
to
tell you
I
your
listen to it
top
on
podcast.
on Apple Music. So
Yeah.
that's disappointing that I can't join in the fun. Who would be your top artist this week? Artists
Or this year.
this year, I guess.
this year.
I don't know what mine.
Ah,
I've been listening to a lot of Rage Against the Machine lately.
And
I'm
it
just into
even
that mood.
tells
good
you
one.
how many times,
Throw
like
in a
if you
little
go
Limp Bizkit.
to your Spotify Wrapped and you go to your top songs, it tells you how many times you listen to those songs during the year. My number one song was Worldwide. And if you are a big time Rush fan, you know that that's the song where they will pull girls on stage and that's their worldwide girl for each show.
Mhm.
I listened to that song 74 times this year.
It's very Justin Bieber.
Have you?
Yeah, it's kind of like One Less Lonely Girl,
Yeah.
except it's worldwide.
So, what are the chances that you get pulled on this stage? And are you going to have video of it when it happens?
If it happens, I will have video of it. I won't be taking the video. I'll have my best friend who's coming with me to this concert
we'll-
take the video.
We'll splice that into the podcast.
But it's a dream to be a worldwide girl. I would love to be a worldwide girl.
Of course.
Would love to.
We already think you're a worldwide girl, Sammy.
I mean, considering
Don't
I'm
aspire to
traveling.
be anything that ends in the word girl.
True. True.
You know, I'm thinking
Well, I'm probably
Hawaiian
gonna
tropic
get.
girl,
I'm
Miller-like girl.
probably gonna get their
That was back in
sweatshirt,
our day.
Yeah.
their merch sweatshirt that says "Worldwide Girl" on it.
Oh my goodness.
However, the original worldwide girl is still Caitlin Tarver. Love her as well. I wish she was in my Spotify top 5.
So,
I tried.
I think it's fun. I think it's youthful and vibrant, and I hope y'all have a blast. And Big Time Rush, I know y'all might be listening, one of y'all. And so y'all find Sammy and put her on
yeah,
stage.
we're
Maybe.
definitely tagging them this week. Maybe we
Definitely.
can get the, what are they called? Big Time Rush heads.
No, we're
Big Time
called
Rush
rushers.
is invited
Okay.
to come on the podcast anytime.
We're
Anytime.
I mean, I bet they'll take us. Never mind.
You don't know, they might.
They're in Europe right now. They're on their European
We
leg
will
of the
go there.
tour.
Mhm.
Super
This
excited.
is like the
We're
most
excited for
they've
you.
ever been talked about on a podcast.
Well, y'all
much
just
fun.
learned something about Gen Z today.
Mhm.
We love our
Time Rush.
Spotify Wrapped. Everyone gets very excited about it.
Yeah, it does. It does get a lot of attention when it happens every year.
But we also don't know what day it comes out. It comes out late November, early December. It's just whenever you happen to go to your Spotify and see it. So
You think they don't include December because it would all just be like Christmas songs?
possibly.
Yeah, it's
But I think it's also
Oh, Mariah Carey.
I don't even have Spotify. I listen, like at the gym, I'll listen to my music on Pandora
Yeah.
with the ads.
I go to the
Because
gym.
I won't pay. And it's mainly Class of 89 country.
I go to
Yeah.
the gym with friends, so we end up talking while we're in the gym. So I listen to Spotify on my runs.
All right, so that's Gen Z moment, although we did not talk about Sabrina Carpenter getting in a fight with the Trump administration. but
She's
we'll leave
also
that.
in my top 5.
So my question of the week this week,
John's wacky weird question of the week.
question of the week pertains to a major announcement that was made this week. Very heartbreaking.
Yes.
K&W Cafeteria is closing down. It was immediately, right? It shut down.
Mhm.
Yeah. They didn't play.
Ah,
People still got their Thanksgiving dinners, and then they shut down.
wonder if they
December
got that
1st.
coconut pie. I mean, coconut.
Oh man, that chocolate cream
So-
pie,
The egg custard.
the roast beef.
That's good.
First off, before we ask the question, what were your thoughts on K&W? Were you fans of K&W?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I was too.
Which one did you go to?
Cameron
Well,
Village.
Cameron Village
yeah,
was close, so
that was it. My granddad had cancer back in the day, and I had to take him every Wednesday for a radiation treatment, and we would always go to K&W at Cameron Village for lunch. After that, he loved their chicken and dumplings is what they called it. We call it chicken pastry.
chicken and dumplings.
But
It was
yeah.
a good after church place too.
Yeah, it was.
So that's our question of the week then. I'm sorry, I should have said that first. What's your fondest memory of K&W and or your favorite food item? I think that we used to go all the time. Like there actually was a restaurant in Four Seasons Mall in Greensboro called Piccadilly Cafeteria,
Piccadilly, yeah.
which was the same
Really good.
concept, right?
Yep.
So we went to that one. We weren't like, I think K&W bought Piccadilly or something like that. But anyway, there's the same thing, right? And then in Chapel Hill, when my dad came to visit when I was in school there, we'd always go to the one at University Mall. And that was like the only restaurant there, you know.
Mhm.
And so we went there. There's one in Rocky Mount we used to go to whenever we went to baseball games with my son.
It was hard to go wrong at a
Yeah, you
K&W.
couldn't.
I mean,
yeah.
plenty of variety.
Yeah.
It was good.
The 7-layer salad was probably my
Oh
favorite.
man, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, artists? You're the one that brought this topic up. You probably
I'm
have
so
some opinions.
devastated, honestly. I remember the Cameron Village K&W. Before that was there, Ballantyne's. There was a
Mhm, I
cafeteria called
remember.
Ballantyne's there. And that was so good. And everybody was heartbroken when that closed.
Yeah.
But then we all got addicted to K&W.
Yeah.
And, again, for me, it was an after church kind of place.
Yeah. What's the problem here? Like, why are these places disappearing? I guess people are just ordering out now, or just because they're definitely not making food at home, right? Like, what is it? Takeout?
I think
Is
Gen
the-
Z could probably elaborate on it.
Yeah, explain why you're not going to
Or is that-
K&W.
That's just not your.
I'm going
Your
to be
jam, or-
honest. I think I've only ever been to K&W like one time when I was in 6th grade.
Mm,
But that's also because I didn't grow up in North Carolina. I know it's a very popular North Carolina thing, but I didn't grow up in North Carolina until I was in like 6th
Yeah.
grade.
yeah.
I lived in Tennessee. Our thing was Steak and Shake thing. It was like,
Was there a cafeteria, though, that was popular?
Not that I remember really,
Gosh,
no.
that's interesting. Because I know in Texas there was one, probably still is, called Luby's.
Mm,
Yeah.
And that was such a big deal there. It's weird. It's
Our big kind of like home style restaurants were Cracker Barrel. We were big Cracker Barrel people.
mm.
Mhm.
So that
Well,
was more of our
Tennessee.
like after church kind of thing. It was
So
we didn't really-
that makes sense, except that Cracker Barrel was always, like, if you were a student, it was pricey. Back when
Yeah.
we were students,
Mhm.
you could go to K&W and it was affordable. What ended up happening is, like everything else, K&W became fairly expensive to go through and get your little
Mm.
meal from. And it was like, whoa, I remember thinking things have really jumped. And maybe that was why they
That
just,
could be.
But I will say, with the Gen Z perspective of like the cooking and stuff, Gen Zs are actually getting a lot more into being in the kitchen. They
You'd
love
to be.
sourdough bread.
Yeah.
They love
Okay.
that home style, like I can do it myself stuff instead of having to go and buy
I honestly
things.
believe, though, that y'all have to be.
Well,
think-
it's too expensive to order takeout.
you.
It's
That's
too
right.
expensive to be going to restaurants. It's
I think that our worlds are about to collide here, Sammy, because do you know who Ann Michael May is? She's Drake May's wife, the football player,
Patriot.
the quarterback of the Patriots and former Carolina quarterback. And she's like super famous now on TikTok for her baking.
okay.
So you need to check her out.
Deal.
But she's like known as the queen of New England now because he's doing so good. And they're like,
He's
anyway.
awesome.
That's how
Yeah.
it is.
so check her out. She makes sourdough bread and all kinds of baked goods.
But that's become a big thing. It's like
Yeah.
people like sourdough bread and make I think another thing is Gen Zs, they've gotten really into wellness and knowing exactly what's going into their food. So they make a lot of their own.
Yeah, that wasn't K&W's thing.
They love their homesteady kind of meals,
Neither is crackers.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all awful.
So K&W was headquartered in Winston-Salem, and they
Yeah.
served the community for over 88 years. And we will be sad to see them go.
It's the end of an era. Representative Setzer, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. I don't know where he's going to go for dinner now.
We will cherish the baked fish and the Salisbury steak, and let's see what other sides.
The roast beef.
The mac and cheese there was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
The rolls were awesome.
The rolls were awesome, and the pies were
Yeah,
good.
none of
All the
this
desserts
wellness.
were good.
What I think about it.
Not a bit.
Fried chicken was good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Let's go to K&W. Oh, we can't. Never
we
mind.
need to go to a cardiologist where we need to
Maybe we should have thought of this before they closed down. It's our fault. Well, have a great week. Please stay warm, and we'll see you next week.